Funcast.
Jeremy points things out on the screen cliche.
This is Burke. So far off the map that it might as well not exist.
And yet, this movie exists.
But think about this. If this movie didn't exist, your video on it to make money wouldn't exist. Okay, maybe I'm just saying that because they said this same sin over The Amazing Spider-Man and that was literally their first movie ever, but still.
Also narration.
Also, I've already explained why this narration is needed in the original movie, so go ahead and watch that.
The fake sheep is attached to a bell that is gently tickled by the speeding dragon instead of the entire bell and its housing being violently ripped out of the ground. Such a worthy change from the original movie.
Or it's a clever addition to the story, which I think this movie has a few examples of.
Grunkles, Nadders, Silverwacks, Skrills.
Excitement?
Was this gag ever funny?
The meathead with attitude and interchangeable hands is Gobber.
Who is narrating Hiccup in the future talking to right now? It's not us, right?
What on earth? This is the same sin you had in a Minecraft movie about Jack Black narrating. Is 2025 the year you start with this? There's no Hiccup in the future right here. This is just simply a Hiccup from beyond the fourth wall talking to us. It's literally been a thing in a lot of movies with narration.
This stunt is only impressive because the Norse god of convenience decided to make this guttering line up exactly with the fire on this house.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there are these kinds of gutters all around to put out these fires. Why wouldn't you build these over every house, especially ones that can reach multiple houses to save time? Why are these questions I need to ask?
It's fully redesigned.
Hiccup's cannon now has 2 barrels instead of the single barrel from the first movie, and that's about as fully redesigned as this movie is.
Other than adding some interesting scenes for Astrid.
And then there's the monstrous nightmare.
Imagine being so impressed with your own rock climbing skills that you refuse to use your f***ing wings.
I mean, climbing works too, right? What is the point of this sin?
Come on, give me something to shoot.
What happened to the Night Fury being characterized as the dragon that never shows itself? I guess dragon that never shows itself until our main character needs to bring it down doesn't have quite the same ring.
No, Jeremy, that's not what Hiccup meant by that. He means that it never shows up anywhere close to Burke. It never lands to do anything like the other dragons. It only flies around, keeping its distance, which makes it difficult to stop, and why the Night Fury is unknown in the Book of Dragons.
Why has Hiccup designed his cannon in a way that means he has to awkwardly reach across himself to grab one lever, pull it back, and then pull a second lever before firing happens?
Does it matter? It still hit Toothless, didn't it?
You're all right. Let's see what else you're made of.
At first glance, I'd have to say a few thousand pounds of muscle, razor-sharp claws, and a set of f*** teeth, none of which appear to be usable.
He says over the dragon, attempting to bite Stoic.
Because now is the time to take off the cloak and get to business. Not before, when there were other dragon attacks, but this time, because it's more dramatic that way. Vikings, man.
You realize this monstrous nightmare was about to kill Hiccup, right? And Stoic is pissed at him for running around the village when he should have been in the blacksmith shop, right?
Every time you step outside, disaster happens.
Honest parenting.
Sinning honesty.
We're all descendants of the finest dragon fighters from everywhere Vikings ever traveled.
But mainly Scotland.
Holy frickin' cow. I literally made that same mistake in my original How to Train a Dragon video when I said that that movie takes place in Scotland, and half the comments told me I was wrong. And now you're doing it too. While the movies never specify, it is more likely that they take place around Scandinavia or Iceland.
We are the warriors of Berk, the roughest, toughest tribe this side of the sun.
That's a weird way to say the thing I think he means, unless he's aware of space Vikings inhabiting other planets that I've missed.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Retcha, your people came from the Far East.
Gretchen doesn't get a cool story about battle? Just from a location is all she needs? Oof, that seems descriptionist.
You're taking this scene out of context. Stoic also goes on to 2 other Vikings and tells them where they came from, and that's all part of a bigger point that they come from faraway lands, and they've come together and have fought together against the dragons, and they shouldn't just run away.
Do we stand a chance of finding the nest before the ice sets in?
Using the mystical forces of bone marrow to ask, do I have a chance of winning the lottery? Instead of asking for the lottery numbers themselves.
Ah, yes, because this lady totally has the ability to look into the future.
He's got a mind of his own. Gets that from his mother. Look what happened to her.
Negligent father blames dead mom for estranged kid kid cliche.
10 years later, and you still don't know what a cliche means.
How can I lose an entire dragon?
Possibly because it would be almost impossible to tell where it landed unless you knew exactly how big it is. Could have been a giant dragon really far away or a tiny dragon very close. Not to mention the fact that maybe your genius invention didn't prevent it from landing, biting its way free, and then flying away again.
These ropes that Hiccup used have been something Vikings have used for a while. Hiccup just found a way to shoot them without having to use his muscles. I doubt dragons would be able to break free if Vikings are relying on them. Also, hey, the branch did disappear in the next shot this time. That's a cool detail.
Bringing a tiny dagger to a plasma-breathing Night Fury fight.
But it's literally tied up and can't move.
Toothless seems content to accept his fate, instead of bathing this fool in his poorly adapted haircut in magenta flames.
It doesn't look like he's in range to me.
Not like you, Dad.
You think I can do these things, Marlin, but I can't. Cliche.
What? Marlin wasn't asking Nemo to do a bunch of things like Stoic, and he sure as heck wasn't asking him to join a school to kill. Wasn't the whole point of that movie that Marlin was an overprotective father? You are comparing apples to strawberries.
No more this.
You just gestured to all of me.
I hope DreamWorks got a huge discount on Gerard Butler's fee, considering they're clearly reusing his audio from the first movie.
Says the guy who repeated his narration sin from the first movie's video.
I'll be back. Probably.
It's dark out. Is the Viking community leaving for the Dragon Island at night? That seems like a terrible idea. Am I a better Viking than they are?
No, you're not. By the time they arrive at the fog, it is daytime, so they're just going early.
If there's one reason to be thankful for the zoom in on Astrid's behind, I suppose it's so that I can more easily sin the lack of skulls on her skirt. That was the best part of OG Astrid's outfit.
So to sin for this remake to be exactly like the original, and it's a sin for it to not be exactly like the original. Yeah, that doesn't sound contradictory at all.
I'm just excited to see some real, live dragons up close.
Was the up close part of the village attack not enough?
No.
You're skinny. You're weak. I'll make you less of a target.
Or they'll see you as an easy target and a quick meal. But since Gobber steps in before anyone is in real danger, it doesn't really matter one way or another.
But why would you eat a skinny guy like him when there's a fat guy right there?
Aren't you gonna, teach us something first? I believe in learning on the job!
Yes, but this isn't learning on the job because this isn't the eventual job. This is supposed to be the training.
The job is to either kill a dragon or capture it, and that's exactly what Gobber is trying to get all the students to do, so this is learning on the job.
Remember, all dragons have a limited number of blasts. How many's a Grunkle have? Ooh, 6!
What an oddly specific evolutionary inconvenience.
And so are humans needing pills and drugs to be healthy.
The dragon will always go for the kill.
This just seems like one of those lines that's meant to inject intensity into a very PG situation, considering the dragon attack at the start of the film did not show dragons killing a single person.
And here's another repeat from the original that we didn't see anyone die. Like I said the first time, it's possible some Vikings died off screen and we just didn't see it because it's not important. Imagination works just fine enough.
Not collecting the rare dragon scales for sweet armor accessorizing or something cool for craft night. You know Hiccup absolutely indulges in craft night.
Yeah, he does, since it's safe to assume he uses dragon skin to create Toothless's tail fin in this timeline too. Now what's the sin?
Listen, I don't dragon biology much, but it's always bugged me that Toothless struggles to fly this much without a tail fin. And don't give me some, well, the aerodynamics just don't support flight without a tail fin exactly this size and proportion to the body. It's a mythical fire-breathing wing lizard, Maverick.
No, that was it. That was the explanation. You don't accept it because this is a fictional creature? Dude, I'd argue that this helps to ground this dragon in reality by giving scientific explanations for things so it existing can feel more believable. As I've said many times before, you always ask for realism, so there you go.
Oh, Hiccup has realized he can make millions of dollars by turning this adventure into an animated hit.
Yes, I know. There's a better animated version of this movie out there. Now can we please focus on the remake and what it does?
Also, why did he draw the side that was clearly missing first?
Are you, the person who misses stuff a lot, sinning a character for missing something? Here, Jeremy, laugh at yourself.
Why would I read words when I can just kill the stuff the words tell me stuff about?
People who don't read the Bible for themselves.
I'm not even sure you read it, since you said that the Prince of Egypt tells the entire story of the Book of Exodus.
I've even made, cards.
Shamelessly plugging the stupid card game that came after the first movie.
But Fish Legs had dragon cards in the second movie as well, so this is a reference to that.
Forgetting to say thank you when a cat has shared its dead things with you.
Comparing Toothless to a cat except for the chase delight scene.
Hiccup works in the forge all night long to make a tail for Toothless and no one notices. Not even Gobber, who also works there and would have never allowed weapons to be smelt into a tail fin.
I'm fairly certain Hiccup is smart enough to do this whenever Gobber isn't around. Do you think he's in the shop all the time?
I don't know if any of you have tried to manhandle a cat's tail while they're eating, but those of you who have will respect this. Hiccup survives this sin on a deep and personal level.
Comparing Toothless to a cat, except for the chase delight scene.
Right, but how is little wimpy Hiccup able to use the weakest part of the arm to hold out the tail bit with all that wind resistance while hanging on to the rest of the dragon for dear life?
I'll use the same logic you used. It's a mythical fire-breathing wing lizard.
I'd love to explain. It's just I left my axe back in the ring.
Why keep this newfound knowledge a secret? Not like he could become even more of an embarrassment. He could make up how the dragon training ideas come to him and be just as much of an outcast.
Probably because he's trying to lead them away from Toothless as much as he can.
Hiccup is now assuming that because Toothless doesn't like eels, the other dragons won't either. And because Toothless doesn't like flower fluff, the others won't. It ends up working, but this means that the dragons share all of these traits as a species, despite their variations, which is really stupid and lazy storytelling.
Or it's fairly believable since they're all dragons.
What exactly was that?
Okay, see, I'd love to explain.
There are actually plenty of ways Hiccup could explain this. He could simply say, I have terrible allergies, and I wondered if dragons did too. Instead, he acts like the only option is to admit he has a pet dragon or run away looking suspicious as
Isn't this the same general idea you just said for this scene literally 2 sins ago? And why are you playing this clip again right here?
This entire flight scene is gorgeous and wild and to become one and all that glorious shit. But it's also boring and totally expected. Not just because it's literally been done before by this exact franchise, but because there's no real tension. They wouldn't kill the 2 main characters with a splat to their deaths at the halfway point of the movie. The halfway point? We have another hour? Why?
There's no tension. Is that why this entire test flight sequence is regarded as a masterpiece of a scene, even this recreation of it? Even Cressida Cowell, the author of the How to Train Your Dragon books, says that it's better than the flight training in Avatar, which is a huge compliment.
Guess I won't be needing this anymore.
And this is one of the reasons why this scene is so good. The Hiccup was originally relying too much on the cheat sheet before deciding to just say screw it and rely on instinct, which is how he was able to avoid the rocks. And yeah, here's another sin for not removing a sin for this awesome sequence too. You had another chance and you still didn't do it.
Just how long did you think you could hide it from me? Let's talk about that dragon.
Stoic is, of course, talking about how well Hiccup has done in trials, but decides to only talk about one dragon and masks it in anger to make it seem like he knows about Toothless. It's dumb and contrived, and I want movies to stop pretending these fake-outs inspire anything other than a huge eye roll.
Jeremy apparently didn't have a dad to play with his emotions and jokes with him like this.
We finally have something to talk about.
Because talking about anything else they may have in common, even on a biological level, is just not ideal when the big strong man has a tiny wimpy kid.
You just described Stoic's character flaw and gave the movie a sin for it. What's wrong with the movie now?
Your mother would have wanted you to have it. It's half of her breastplate. It keeps her close, you know.
Not bonding with your son for all of his life until this moment when you tell him both of your heads are nestled in a cavity.
Didn't you sin Hidden World? That scene showed 2 flashbacks of Stoic bonding with Hiccup when he was a kid, and I think it's safe to assume something like those happened in this version of the story too. I don't doubt Stoic had a few moments with Hiccup when they talked about Valka.
I feel like if Astrid had decided to stick to the thick forest back here, like the badass dragon fighter she claims to be, Toothless wouldn't have been able to pick her up.
You know she's running back to Burke to tell everyone about Toothless, right? Which is why Hiccup said, "We're dead," when he saw her running, and is why he's running after her.
This is attempted murder, right? Just flinging someone onto the steep rocks over a fall to their certain death, right?
That's called coercion.
I'm not listening to anything you have to say.
Then I won't speak. Just let us show you.
What are you gonna show her, Hiccup? Something shimmering or sparkling, perhaps? Are you gonna open her eyes? Will you go over sideways or perhaps under? Will you take her wonder by wonder?
I'm glad you didn't sing A Whole New World there, but still, arbitrary movie reference.
We worked out a whole system, remember?
A whole system that has apparently been superseded by the plot's need for Toothless to be in charge of a wild flight. Should it matter that up until now, Hiccup had to manage shifting the tail direction so Toothless could fly this way or that? Nope, nah, not at all. That was earlier. Now it's better if Toothless has some autonomy.
I would assume because Toothless has been training for a while and has finally learned how to steer on his own by now.
Thank you for nothing, you useless reptile!
If there's one line that I could point to sum up how hollow this movie leaves me, it's this one. It's a great line in the first movie with an even better delivery from Jay Baruchel. So unique that I don't think it can be repeated, nor should it. It's like playing the hits, except all the instruments are out of tune, and the tribute band was so proud of its punny name that it never bothered to learn the songs.
While I agree that this line was infinitely superior in the original, I disagree with how hollow this movie feels overall. I said this in my review for this movie. One thing I really appreciate about it is that it manages to keep the exact story and core of it intact without rushing through it or making it feel empty. And this is a point I see being brought up over and over again too. It definitely helps that it's the same director from the original, Dean DeBlue.
Toothless has been compelled to fly to the island, summoned by instinct to join the flight to the nest he cannot resist until later, when somehow all the important dragons can resist for reasons.
Probably because the Red Death wasn't controlling him at that moment, or at least not most of the time.
You gonna take everyone up for a magical ride?
Are you, Hiccup? Are you going to take him soaring, tumbling, and freewheeling through an endless diamond sky?
Alright, this wasn't funny the first time, but now it's getting annoying.
Why did Toothless bring them here? He seemed to follow some compulsion, but now it just seems for purely expositional purposes.
No, that was the answer. He brought them here because he seemed to follow some compulsion.
They're the workers, and that's their queen. They're alpha. It controls them.
This is why we never hear about the Viking David Attenborough. What's the point when kids like Astrid have an entire species locked down after a 30-second observation?
Because she was paying attention? You know, something you haven't been doing for 13 years?
You have something I don't. So, I'm going to stand by you.
Astrid goes from determined dragon slaying, I'm gonna be the chief someday badass, to stand by your man because he can ride a dragon real fucking quick.
After being shown that humans can ride a dragon and that they've been stealing all their food for the Red Death, why would she go back to I'm gonna be the chief someday badass? That reminds me whenever we debunk your sins and you just put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la.
The trials happen every year and are yet to be established as not in any way, shape, or form safe enough to be a spectator event.
Hey, it's still safer than a Triwizard Tournament.
A lot of the blame for what happens next here is firmly on Gobber, who could have had a brief heads-up chat with his longtime chief friend regarding Hiccup's unique approach. Just a sort of, you will be shocked, because it's nothing like you've seen so far, but it's effective. Because theoretically, Hiccup could teach an entire tribe to lull dragons to a state of docility and lob their heads off.
But this trial is supposed to show Hiccup killing his first dragon. I'm sure Gobber assumed he was going to use his unorthodox ways of defeating them to incapacitate this monstrous nightmare and then kill it. Well, it doesn't matter that his ways are different. If anything, he could teach the other Vikings how to use them too after he kills this one.
How entirely convenient that the dragon in the death pit screamed loud enough for Toothless to hear him across the island. Not only that, but it said, I'm about to eat this very specific human that you have probably bonded with. I'll give you all the time you need to run across the island before I actually eat him, though.
You say that the monstrous nightmare took its time to eat Hiccup, even though Hiccup ran around the stadium causing a chase to happen, and even Astrid got involved to distract it.
All the villagers pile into the pit to come after the Night Fury, but not to save Hiccup moments ago. So I guess they're not really that excited about Hiccup being one of them after all.
Stoke and Astrid tried to save Hiccup, and the reason they were all going after Toothless is because this is the first time a Night Fury has been this close to them, so now's the best chance to capture one. It's the first time something like this has happened in history.
So everything in the ring, a trick? A lie?
It didn't involve violence, but it still required skill. It wasn't a lie any more than throwing water over them as a lie.
But Stoke is mad because he thought Hiccup was training to kill.
The dragon. That's what you're worried about. Not the people you almost killed.
Movie doubles down on cheap tension by making adults irrational and never fixing it. Want some drama? Just blame the kid. Doesn't matter for what. Tower falls in the opening from Dragonfire? Totally Hiccup's fault. Stoic says he almost got people killed. Which people exactly? The ones running from the Night Fury who jumped to the pit on their own? Nope. Astrid nearly roasted by the fire dragon? Also nope. Random balcony villagers? Still nope. At this point, the chief might as well blame him for inventing the dragon problem in the first place.
What part of blinded by anger do you not understand? That's why you irrationally hate on particular things without ever explaining why.
I'm the first Viking in who knows how long who wouldn't kill a dragon.
First to ride one, though.
They can't know either of those things are true.
You're kidding, right? If someone rode a dragon before this, it surely would have been in a history book, and Ashton wouldn't have said Hiccup's the first.
This would suggest that they got here by following Toothless's twitches and head movements. So does this mean Toothless is always steering back toward the nest? How would you distinguish a random head movement from one aimed at the nest? The movie doesn't care to explain and is confusing as f.
No, it's not suggesting he always steers towards the nest. It's suggesting that he only does that when he's fairly close to it, which is exactly what happened last time when Hiccup and Astrid visited it. And since they're getting closer, Toothless won't make any more random movements and will only point toward the spots they need to go.
I can't pull this off without you guys.
He can't?
And you all have something special to offer.
They do?
Did you not see the climax or what? They distracted the Red Death, which allowed Hiccup to attempt to free Toothless. That's the case in both versions of this story.
That's where that went.
This means that one of their ships did find the nest. They just never made it back to tell the story. So if there's a ship that never returned, wouldn't that be a good place to keep searching for the nest? Or were they like, well, Steve and his crew never returned. I assume they got sick of Viking life and decided to be pirates forever. No need to follow up on what happened to them.
Didn't Gobber literally just say that's where that went, implying they didn't know it was here? So no, they couldn't do what you're suggesting.
I think it's strange that Hiccup's tricks work on all dragons. Toothless I can understand, because he didn't kill him when he had the chance. He brought him food and repaired his wing. These dragons have been imprisoned by humans for who knows how long, so you'd think they'd be a bit less receptive and a bit more bitey.
To be fair, Hiccup did his best to not antagonize the other dragons while he was training, and even though the Monstrous Nightmare did attempt to kill him, it didn't start doing that until Stoic provoked it. So I don't doubt these dragons are willing to give Hiccup a chance.
I'm no military tactician, but I think it's usually a common practice to wait until you can see the enemy before unleashing all of your ammunition into an abyss.
Jeremy seriously thinks that the Vikings unleashed all of their ammunition. Do you really think they're that stupid to do that and wouldn't have more?
Oh man, I'm tired. I think I'm gonna let Jeremy from 2015 handle this one.
I do not believe you can punch holes in mountains by lobbing small rocks at it. I just don't think that makes any logical or scientific sense at all. Even if the mountain is hollow and has walls this thin, you're still on thin ice with me, movie.
Okay, if we're doing this, then I'll let Captain Vader from a year ago answer this one. Admits why this makes sense, still doesn't believe it.
Also, 10 years delayed. Also, why are they even firing at the mountain? What makes them think the nest is inside the mountain? Or that they'll be able to break through? Especially when they are clearly expecting the battle to be fought out here.
Where else would the nest be if not inside the mountain?
I'm calling absolute horseradish on the accuracy of this shot. Also, we finally get to see just how big the dragon population is, and it's big enough that I do not see how they haven't completely eradicated the Vikings from the face of the earth. This isn't a fight. I honestly think the dragons are farming the humans and deliberately not killing them so they can keep producing food. And if that's what's happening, it would have been nice for the movie to fucking acknowledge it.
Or that could simply be implied. As these movies have made clear many times before, the dragons aren't monsters and only attack when provoked. They have no reason to kill humans unless they feel they need to. So that's why there are still Vikings around to kill them.
I was only trying to protect you.
In the most demeaning and self-serving way possible, but at least I tried.
You just described Stoic's character flaw again, my guy. Move along, please.
This entire movie has been about how there is another option other than fighting when it comes to living alongside dragons. A theme that is explored in this compelling climax where dragons are forced to fight other dragons the Vikings have decided they can't live with.
Well, yeah, the Red Death is a villain who has been controlling dragons to bring it food. The movie isn't saying we shouldn't kill all dragons, it's saying that we should treat them like humans, and just like humans, some shouldn't be alive.
This fight has some very specific tactics that require Toothless to aim for specific body parts, and then ultimately chuck a blast inside the big dragon's mouth after a dive spin. When did Hiccup and Toothless form this mind meld-esque bond that allows them to both navigate this intricate battle?
Maybe the fact that Hiccup briefly mentioned in the opening narration that Night Furies never missed their targets?
Too bad Hiccup attended the Prometheus School of Flying Away from Flamey Things.
What else do you want them to do?
Hiccup will survive this, and with no explanation. I guess the flames decided to localize themselves to just 1 foot.
Again, there is an explanation for this. All dragon skin is fireproof, so Toothless was able to grab a hold of Hiccup and cover him up with his wings just in time before the flames burned him. I told you this last time, and it's still sinful that he didn't pay enough attention to know this.
Also, if I didn't know better, I'd say Toothless bit his foot off as payback for the wing. It's the only way the convenient symmetry makes sense.
What's the problem with symmetry?
Where are the humans watching over Hiccup to be sure he's getting some water and nutrition while he's been unconscious for however long? Did they just leave it up to Toothless? Toothless can't do that shit. He can't even remove the big old rug from the floor to help Hiccup walk without tripping.
Do you not think that that could have happened off screen and that whoever did that wouldn't be with Hiccup all the time?
You want to take first spin?
Turning Toothless into a cat puppy horse thing.
Which he already basically was last time, so why are you blaming the remake for this?
I refuse to believe none of these kids would have fallen to their deaths by now. She's upside down with nothing but centrifugal force on her side.
And also rope. Like, dude, it's right there.
The only upsides are the pets.
Pets? Toothless is like a f***ing person. He literally understands English, has empathy, protects his loved ones, and obeys orders. Oh, and he could eat you. So come up with a new way to describe them.
But you literally called Toothless a pet earlier.
Also, how did it get such a clean break? There's no blood, bone, or exposed tissue. It looks like the fin was very neatly, almost surgically clipped off. I don't think it's a huge leap of logic to assume that Hiccup actually manufactured this situation so he could Florence Nightingale affect himself into getting a pet dragon. This copy and paste act of creative futility made over 630 million worldwide.
Excuse me, but this isn't even the worst movie to come out this year. Where was this sin count padding for a Minecraft movie? Or Jurassic World Rebirth? Or the live-action Lilo and Stitch, which made over $1 billion? And should this be a sin for the audience, not the movie itself? I would have let this joke slide if you didn't add so many sins, so why not? I'll do it too, just to be fair.
Yeah, I said it.